So at this point, for those that do not know who I am the Executive Vice President. My name is Travis Burris here at NUWAVE Communications. I'm honored to present with Mr. Paul Martin from Landis, an account executive, supporting our efforts on a day-to-day through the channel environment. Our goal today, and first and foremost, I understand time is valuable, and once again, we appreciate it. I was going to give a shout out to Clark Carrier for the first one logging in, but he dropped off, so I can't do that, but I did it, so he'll see the recording. But really, our focus today is really, delivering a very robust Microsoft-driven contact center environment to enhance the product portfolio, and our end result is to drive additional revenue for all of your business opportunities. After the call today, this is going to be recorded. This call is being recorded. It will be dropped into our new events tab within the NUWAVE website. Definitely check it out. It's a new tab for us. But also for those that are currently working with a dedicated sales director, if you need additional time arranged, please reach out to your support manager or director to have individual meetings scheduled to take a deeper dive. So really, our agenda today for everyone is Paul's going to present the solution delivery. We're going to talk a little bit about some business cases. And then if time is allowed, based on how many minutes we have left, we'll probably do maybe a 5 or 10 minute high level demo as well. I do want to take a moment for those that did arrive and show up. I want to thank Denise with HP Poly for being our raffle sponsor for this event. So we will be doing a random drawing, and whomever wins, I'll be reaching out via email and identifying your address, and I'll have this sent out to you. So thank you for, if Denise, if you ever watch this, thank you very much. So based on that, the last thing that I got before I'm going to turn it over to Paul and let him do what he does. This is not a webinar. This is a roundtable technology discussion, and I want to have it as interactive as possible. Now, even though I'm not going to be unmuting people because of background noises, and we all have been a part of that type of meeting, please use chat. Please use the Q&A. You can ask a question at any given time. You do not have to wait until we are completed. We will address these as we move forward. Once again, I like interaction, roundtable, not webinar. So on that note, Mr. Paul Martin, the floor is yours. Thank you very much for joining me today.
All right. Well, thank you, Travis. Really appreciate the NUWAVE hosting this, and we appreciate the invite. We have been in partnership with NUWAVE for quite a long time, and it's always good to collaborate on these types of events. So thanks again. As Travis mentioned, my name is Paul Martin. I'm an account executive with Landis. I've worked with Landis in the account executive role for a little over 10, 11 years now. And I specialize in our products for Microsoft Teams. And that, as mentioned, that's what we're going to go through today. We're going to go through the contact center platform. We're going to touch on call recording and just filling some of those gaps that Microsoft has. So as you are delivering and offering Microsoft to your customers, Microsoft Teams, you have more options in your pocket, and we're going to show you what that looks like. So with that, let me just share my screen and we will kick things off. I'm going to start just real briefly with a little bit about Landis for those that might not be familiar. We are a Microsoft partner, of course. We only develop products around Microsoft, and that has been our entire history. We're a 30-plus year organization. We obviously hold a number of certifications with Microsoft to talk about that. We deploy our products globally. We are a little bit of a unicorn in the software space in this day and age. We, as mentioned, a 30-year privately held debt-free organization. Every decision that we make, every product decision, every product we develop is designed with the end user and the customer in mind. That allows us to really focus on the experience. And more importantly, the products that we offer are not the end result of mergers and buyouts and acquiring another contact center and folding their code into ours. This is 100% Landis built product from the ground up, and we have a great team that just stresses over every little minute detail of the product, and that is what leads to the product that we're offering here today. I mentioned as far as the certification, of course, we are Extend and Unify certified with Microsoft. I'll talk a little bit more about that here in a moment, but also we carry the ISO, GDPR, HIPAA, as our products are deployed around the world. It really scales well to meet a number of different types of environments. And we'll talk about some use cases here in the call, some business use cases. But being embedded within Microsoft, it scales where Microsoft scales. Microsoft, we obviously are familiar with the SMB fit that Microsoft is, the ability to set up teams and different units and have it incorporate well. But we also see our products scaling to the enterprise side of things and supporting global help desks and things like that. So pretty broad fit here. This is, I mentioned the product that is built from the ground up by our own engineers, our own team. That really lends well to the incredible uptime that the contact center platform has seen. And as a partner, these two stats here on the right are really important. First of all, the quicker time to deploy, quicker time to value, eliminates some of these roadblocks that pop up as you're deploying Microsoft Teams. And being able to have something that is not a 3-month or a 4-month project to deploy and customize, as contact centers often are. This is plugging in. It's built around Teams, so when you're plugging it into a Teams environment, it just gets that roadblock out of the way that much quicker, gets the team onboarded, and keeps the project moving along. And then on top of that, the support capabilities that Landis has, not only from the initial deployment, making sure that these projects are getting plugged in a timely manner, but also then ongoing support. Again, a fully in-house managed support team, all of which have deep Teams understanding and knowledge and just can really support the product well, excellent response times and all that. So as a partner, having that support in your back pocket is really important. These projects, are no longer liabilities. They're things that you can add value to what you're offering, and know that you're not going to get yourself into sticky situations with needing to support this. You have a partner with NUWAVE and with Landis that is right behind you and can make sure that your customers are getting well taken care of.
Well, and Paul, to that point, if I can elaborate a little bit more, another reason why we partnered up with your organization is, we and the partners are on the line today, they understand this concept that we are very service oriented and driven, right? So, when we refer to our Five9s and they have the Eric Chans of the world and the Jasons to support these opportunities and the Justins, we feel that business model works very well for us as well. So when Paul talks about the response times and the delivery of the product, I've been across these, right? Our sales directors have been across these. I know Eric and Justin sold several projects. I was a part of the University of Massachusetts deployment that I saw in there. And that's another reason why we are that you're a part of the marketplace, which we truly appreciate. And I know our channel does as well.
Yeah. And it's just, I think there's a lot of customers coming from legacy platforms and a lot of partners even that dealt with legacy contact center platforms. The process to procure and build out and deploy a contact center, you often talked in terms of quarters, not weeks. We're in the middle of a deployment right now, not huge. I think maybe around 75 to 100 seats of contact center. But they found themselves in a situation where they needed to be live within around a 2 to 3 week time frame. And that's just not an issue at all. Getting core queues, IVRs stood up, building out integrations, that, again, it's snapping into Microsoft Teams, and it makes projects like that, something that is just not to sweat.
Well, and you refer to the deployment side. I want to refer to the Paul side. So, when we have opportunities, right, I know for a fact that any of our sales directors can reach out to Paul and say, hey, now we're not going to say, hey, we need you tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock and at 6 o'clock at night. But there has never been a time, Paul, and I appreciate in my position that you have never said, hey, guys, I cannot accommodate it, because we do leverage Landis. They do participate in our presentations and demos, and they're always available to support our efforts. So, and that's also, so I know you talk about the technical side, but, we got to sell it first also to move forward. So, Paul, you've been an amazing resource to myself and the team as well on that aspect.
Yep, that's always our goal. We don't expect that partners are going to know the product well from day one, but we certainly don't want you to hesitate to offer it and feel like you have this tool in your portfolio, at any time, like Travis mentioned, pull in someone from the Landis team. We can sync up with you to make sure that you're the one that knows your customer. We can present on your behalf and making sure that we're in line with the project that you are familiar with and laying out these options even before you're familiar with it. As you go through some of these projects, of course, knowing the functionality that is available and having your own proof of concept within your own environments that you can show your customers, it allows you to present Microsoft Teams in a more complete fashion than your customer would have seen Teams presented to them previously. So now you're presenting the Teams app, and inside that Teams app, you have calling, you have collaboration, you have contact center, you have recording, you have everything that you need. And there again, it gives them a much more complete version of Teams, and it really helps Teams feel like that enterprise solution that isn't going to be pieced together with all sorts of third-party products. It feels much more complete to them. Okay, let me just touch on some of the category and some of the things that this platform covers. We won't get too detailed here today. I don't want to hit you over the head with every little feature, but there's some key areas that this product is adding functionality that are important in just about any contact center environment. I want to start with this integration topic here. This is really important. There's a couple different aspects to integration. First of all, just to highlight, and we're not going to get technical like I mentioned, but just to give you an overview of how simple this really is. Let's say this here is your customer's Teams environment. Call traffic arrives, doesn't matter to us how you're configuring that, direct routing, calling plans, operator connect, doesn't matter to us. Call traffic arrives and it is assigned to this resource account, just like you're familiar with Teams native call queues. Every queue has a corresponding resource account, no different here. Only exception or only difference here is these resource accounts are connected to Landis, and there's this instantaneous signaling that's going back and forth that's capturing all the live analytics, the wallboards, the dashboards, generating the reporting, telling the API what to do with the call, where to send it to, and all the menu options and everything there. But you see the end result is call traffic coming into the environment and going straight to the agent. At no point is that call traffic leaving their tenant or hitting the Landis side or anything like that. It is contained within their Microsoft Teams environment. Excuse me. That going back to what we talked about, fast time to deploy. This here is really what aids in that. You're not porting numbers. They're keeping ownership of that. You're just setting up a queue, setting up a resource account, and away you go. So, and then the other part of this is the recording piece. This diagram here shows the audio recording saving to Landis post call so that the managers can easily access them. We have a lot of flexible options there. In fact, they don't even need to store the audio, the recordings to Landis. They can save them to their own Azure Blob storage. And in certain high compliance industries, that might be the preferred method there. But overall, a basic and straightforward architecture that keeps the audio and everything within their Teams environment and really makes it a quick platform to deploy. And some of you might be already familiar with the Extend and Unify terms from Microsoft. We are certified in both, and that is simply meaning those more integrated models, not those bolted on contact centers like you'll have in your Genesys and Five9s. These are built around Microsoft APIs and, as mentioned, built inside the tenant. The other really important part of integration is how well does the contact center talk to other parts of the environment? And this is becoming such a huge discussion point when any contact center that is deployed. Contact center, Landis, captures so much data, so many analytics, and it's really at the forefront of your customer's customer experience. All the data that Landis is collecting, how the agents are doing, how your customers are being assisted, what the sentiment of the phone calls, all of this data is living within Landis, and you wanted to share back and forth with the rest of your environment. When you go to your record of truth for that customer, you want to see their order history, you want to see the interaction history, you want to see how, an AI summary of the last call they had with the help desk. All of these data points need to come together, and to do that, you need these connectors. And Landis has an entire team dedicated to building out these connectors. Speaking to partners, obviously you may have services in-house that do things like Power Apps support and some of these custom integrations that you might be able to support in-house, that's great. It opens up additional revenue there. If not, Landis does have some resources that you can resell that would make that as a possibility. So this is becoming more and more a central part of the conversation with just about any contact center that we deploy. All right. In addition to voice, contact center channels, additional channels are also important to consider. And we support web chat, SMS. WhatsApp is a driving factor in certain parts of the world, especially, and some social integrations there as well. Email is coming soon. We're building out an email integration that will kind of level this up. It's not quite ready yet. We're thinking probably a quarter or two away from that yet. But in addition to voice, chat channels that are just really easy to fold in, and again, deploying a full enterprise chat solution within an hour or two, just making it really easy. Putting a module on the website or giving a phone number that your customers can interact with your team through. And again, this is focused on keeping everything inside of Microsoft Teams. So your agents are responding to these inquiries that come through right within their Teams chat. They're not needing to log into some other chat platform to manage these interactions and conversations, and being able to track everything along with all the voice calls and recordings that are taking place. Now, Copilot, you notice here the Copilot configurable option, and this is becoming such a large part of any chat channel. And this is not just large enterprise customers that are looking to utilize AI chat. There are all sorts of organizations that say, boy, if there is a tool that our customers could interact with that can get them real valuable information when I do not have any agents available or when it's after hours, that becomes a game changer. With Landis, you can build a Copilot agent that easily incorporates all of the data that you wanted to incorporate, connected to FAQ sheets, knowledge-based articles, blog posts, your own website, any piece of data that is relevant. You can connect to the Copilot Studio in Copilot Studio when you're building a Copilot agent, and it can engage with your customers, thoughtful, complete answers, continuing conversation, truly conversational. So it really becomes an easy asset. Now, obviously, what we're doing here is utilizing Copilot. So you take some of those security risks off the table because Copilot is often already vetted in a lot of these environments. They already use Copilot. And this is just keeping that data within their own environment, but allowing it to be resourceful for the contact center, web chat, or SMS, or any other chat channel.
So
now,
Paul,
yeah, go ahead,
not to interrupt on the flow, and I didn't know if you're going to move forward. But we had a great question just come in from Mr. David Eaton. Great question, David, and it's good to see you. Does Landis have integration with Jack Henry software? So it's kind of going back to the integration page.
Oh, yeah.
Earlier.
So not off the top of my head, I'm not recalling any projects that we've done. However, we have built into all sorts of different types of platforms, and essentially, even your common ones like Salesforce and ServiceNow, really no two ServiceNow engagements are the same, because every customer is going to want something different in terms of, these are the fields we want in front of the agent when the phone rings, and this is the data that we want saved back to Salesforce. As long as the database has open access to an API of some sort of REST API, or a way that we can interact with that data, then we can build a connector around it. So we've seen everything from major CRMs to home build systems. As long as there's API access, we can work with it from there.
Okay, so I guess I just want to make so your team will actually work with the channel based on that open API to assist as much as possible with that type of integration. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yep. We have an integration team. They would sit down and do discovery and say, what are we looking? There's several different places that we can integrate. What are we looking to do here? Do we want a voice AI? Do we want just call pop for the agents? Do we want post-call documentation? Kind of just discovering what is necessary, and then looking at the platform that you're on and making sure we have access to the data that we need to make those integrations happen, and then they can build it from there.
Awesome. Thank you, David. I'm sorry. Thank you, Paul.
I'll let it slide this time.
I forgot your name already, man. I'm sorry.
One last comment here on the chat before we move on. One of the things that is really holding a lot of organizations back from deploying chat on the website, especially AI chat, is this fear that your customers are not going to get treated right, that they're going to get stuck in this chatbot that really is limited in its scope of what it can do, but it also is not letting you talk to a human. Very frustrating experience. With this Copilot agent, you can easily set the thresholds that it will, if prompted or if it does not address the customer's question correctly, it can easily escalate to a human agent. And another frustrating thing, and I was on with the IKEA chat the other day. That was my first problem, but anyway, I was trying to find an order. I kept entering the order number with the chat tool. It wasn't finding it. It escalated me to a human. And the first thing the human did is ask me for my order number again. I think I gave it a total of 3 or 4 times in that same chat. When you do escalate to a human and a human comes into the loop, they should have access to every part of that conversation that happened up until that point. They can see all the responses that the customer gave to the bot and what information the bot already shared. So they don't need to come into the chat and repeat themselves and ask for the same information. It should be a continued conversation. So that's having some of those thresholds in place can oftentimes make organizations feel more comfortable that they can have a basic tool that answers basic questions, but quickly escalates to a human if it gets deeper than that and there's any issue whatsoever.
Oh, that's good information. We had another question come in from Mr. Eric Chun, one of my colleagues, and I'm glad he's decided to work today. Can call recording be deployed without the contact center environment?
Yes. Yeah, let's just jump right there while we're talking about call recording. So
Awesome.
Call recording obviously is a very natural add-on to contact center. Most contact centers, I think we will find, will want audio recording and transcription. However, this is a product that is licensed separately from contact center. So it's licensed as an add-on or an independent license. So you can deploy policy-based call recording to any Teams user in your environment, even if they're not part of the contact center. You may have both. You may have the contact center help desk with recording, and then you may have the HR, the sales team, or someone over here that doesn't really need the full suite, but that recording is really important. Really straightforward here again to set this product up for an entire team. This is something that you have a lot of flexibility, different policies that you can set. What all do we want to record? Do we want to record only external organization inbound and outbound? Do we also want to record peer-to-peer calls? Maybe peer-to-peer calls as well as Teams meetings. You know, you can control absolutely everything so that a recording is taking place anytime your agent is on the phone or anytime your user is on the phone. In addition to that, you know, is it automatic recording where the agent has no control over it? Do we give the agent controls to pause and resume? Those types of questions, there's a lot of flexibility there. With recording, you have obviously audio voice recording, full transcription, and sentiment analysis. Sentiment analysis is the algorithm that is looking at the transcription and giving a live score as to how it feels the conversation is going. And of course, that information is saved historically as well.
Perfect. You know, you use the word flexibility, Paul, you use the word flexibility, and I think that fits your product. You know, obviously it's extremely robust, reliable, and does, but the flexibility to clients based on the different vertical markets, I think is a big play for you guys as well. And you can keep me honest with that comment or not.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like I said, every environment looks a little bit different. And you see all sorts of things that you never really thought of, and then you get those requests and you build the product around it. And so yeah, it has become a very, very flexible platform.
Perfect.
One other note, just as kind of a side note on recording, with AI really changed the game here in terms of the most valuable part of audio recording maybe isn't the audio file anymore. It's that transcription. So much can be done with that transcription. Landis has built-in webhooks that can fire the transcripts as soon as the call is completed anywhere, and you can do anything with it. I'll give you one use case that we see that's pretty neat. We can send the transcripts from these calls to a database within their environment. That database can have Copilot agents incorporated into it. So now you give your manager a Copilot agent that has access to every conversation that his team has had over the last 30 days, 90 days, 6 months, a year, and they can ask questions. They can, what types of issues have led to cancellation in the last month? What types of objections are our customers hearing? What are some agents' responses that have, have squashed concerns? Every agent's or every manager is going to have a different method there, but just giving them kind of an agent that can answer their questions as to how the team is doing based on all these transcripts. That's something that just wasn't even possible, a few years ago. Reporting and analytics, we find, is often at the core of why organizations are looking for something more robust to layer on top of Microsoft. There's both real-time and historic. For real-time, there are things like wallboards showing, the environment, what's happening at this very second. How many calls are in the queue? How many agents do I have available? What's our SLA? Average handle times? All of that important data that any environment's going to want to see is available in real time. Manager dashboards for managing personnel, seeing how long someone's been on break, taking people in and out of the queue, changing their status. All of that is depends on the environment, but there's often a lot of managers that want that hands-on management, and now they have the tools to do that right inside of Microsoft Teams. And again, I kind of breezed past it here, but you see the screenshots of this is truly incorporated into Microsoft Teams. It's available as a Teams app or a web app, but it is so immersed. There's no Landis branding anywhere on this platform. To your customer, to your end users, it is going to feel like it is simply Teams functionality. And we obviously, like I mentioned, that is by design. There's also more significant interaction controls where, as a manager, I can watch my agents, I can listen along, I can read the transcription as they're engaged in a call, I can whisper in, I can barge in, I can whisper in where I can talk to my agent and the customer can't hear me. So all of those live interaction tools to really make sure that everything's going smoothly for the team. And then reporting, a plethora of built-in reports and analytics that, again, don't require tons of customization, don't require Power BI work or anything like that. These are reports that you plug in a queue, and as soon as calls start hitting that queue, you have these reports starting to populate. Queue overview that is showing you things like SLAs and average wait times and your abandoned call rates and total number of calls, and just seeing how the team as a whole is doing. Of course, drilling down to each individual agent. How many calls have they taken? Even the minute stats of, are they ignoring calls when they ring to them, and how often are they missing calls? Just giving a manager the tools to just manage the team in a complete manner there. Go ahead,
Paul,
Travis.
Since we're on reporting, we had another quick question come in. It's actually a two-part question. With the CAN reports you provide, will the customer be able to track the journey of the call, i.e. call transfers? The second part of the question would be, can reports be customized and generated on recurring bases?
Yes. Yeah, so a few things on that. Let me just jump over here. So first of all, customer journey, cradle to grave, whatever you want to call it. Being able to see the call at every step through that process. They hit the front end IVR, they made menu selections. Here's the menu selections they made. This is how long they spent. Then they rang to the queue. They waited for 5 minutes. This is what was happening while they waited. This agent missed it. This agent ignored it, all the way down the line until an agent picks it up. And then the transfer and call routing analytics from there. The call routing analytics, the transfer statistics, when an agent is transferring it elsewhere, the API from Microsoft is a little bit newer there. So this feature, we still have, it's available in the product. It's GA, it's currently listed as preview. More functionality coming around that, probably more complete reports coming around the transfer item itself, but it is there in the product today. So yeah, cradle to grave tracking so that you can, and even that IVR step, that's an important part of understanding how many calls have hit the IVR and how many people were losing there because they're confused by the menu options or are overwhelmed and they're never even reaching the queue. Those are the types of tracking that can be really important.
And now the questions are just coming through, Paul. See, one person starts
and
we just go. This is awesome. So Brian Hufflin, and I hope I pronounced that correctly. Brian, it's good to see you. Does Landis have a minimum seat count requirement?
We do for full contact center. It's low. It's 10 seats. Just about any environment that needs a contact center product is typically going to be there. And when we say 10 users, that is counting your agents, your managers, your supervisors, your admins. So, pretty quickly a 6 or 7 seat contact center with a manager, you're going to be there at 10 seats. But yeah, 10 seat is the minimum for a contact center. Call recording is the same, 10 seats, if you're deploying recording separate.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, interrupt me as the questions roll in there. That's just great.
Well, I think we just had another one come in. So.
Yeah, go ahead.
See, this is why we call it a roundtable and not a webinar. This is what I like. Yep. Can the solution be used for outbound calls, i.e. outbound sales teams?
Yeah, outbound calling, and more specifically, outbound calling from a queue. So you can you can set that resource account for outbound calling. So when your agent is making those calls, it is showing the right phone number, controlling that outbound caller ID. There are, a number of different things. Now, the one thing I'll just mention with sales teams, we don't have automatic dialer built in yet. So if your agents are working through a call list where they're never hanging up the phone and it's just going one to the next, we do have that on our roadmap, not built into the product just yet. But all the controls around monitoring outbound calls, making sure they show up from the right queue and resource account, live listening and recording and all that for outbound calls, it's all the same as inbound.
Awesome. Thank you.
One last comment up. Clicked on the wrong thing there. One last comment on the reporting. We talked about all the different built-in reports. You'll find it covers 95% of the requests you get. All of this data is available in raw format. So there are those organizations that are highly custom environments. They want their custom dashboards and Power BI and all that. They have access to all this data. So if they need help creating something custom, either they can do it internally or we can assist them with it, but all the data is there to build out any kind of report that they might need. The Landis IVR, this is a incredible part. I'm not sure why my slide deck is jumping all around here, but let me just, this is a very feature-rich part of the Landis platform. This is that Teams refers to it as their auto attendant. This is a really souped up auto attendant. The ability to build out visual call flows or chat flows as calls or chats are coming through, and building in. This is another place where you can build in integration. You can offer the simple press 1 for sales, 2 for service menus, but we can go a lot deeper. Data integrations that are going to look at your ServiceNow environment and say, does this caller already have an existing ticket? Well, if they do, we're going to offer them different menu options. We do a ton of deployments in higher education. Higher education has all sorts of different menu options, all sorts of different, you have alumni, you have students, you have faculty, you have all these different types of callers. And so the ability to just check the system and say, is this an enrolled student or is this an alumni? That's going to change the menu options that we are going to give that caller. And being able to do a simple data dip like that just helps speed things along, making sure they're getting the best experience, creating new tickets, giving them information, giving them shipping information, you name it. There's all sorts of different flows that can be built into this with the Landis IVR and Visual Call Flow Designer. All right, how we doing? Any additional questions there I should be touching on?
Oh, yeah, Brian just replied. He corrected me with my pronunciation of his last name. Thank you for Brian. Okay. I appreciate that. But there is a question. Question, UCaaS and CCaaS, the gray area difference, the two is getting wider every day. Hold on, let me expand this. With Landis, we still have a CCaaS solution for a non-contact center user? Sorry if I really covered this. This can be one of the. So it's really the separation state between the UCaaS and CCaaS, if I'm reading this correctly, Brian. And I believe it's going to be related to Landis. Do you have anything that is non-contact center related? If I'm correct, Brian, and if I'm wrong, please type. But I think I know the answer, but I'm gonna let you answer that one, Paul.
Sure. Yeah.
I believe it's purely okay. We got it right. I saw a thumbs up. Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Yes. So a lot of this functionality is tailored towards a CCaaS environment. Now, we deploy, I would say when you look at the recording only solution, that's giving a lot of different types of teams that are not contact center focused, leveling up their functionality of being able to track the amount of calls your team is making, seeing the transcripts, mining the details within those transcripts, all the topics and trends and things like that. That's stuff that's valuable to just about any type of team, whether that's HR, sales, or your proper contact center help desk. So a lot of the functionality that we have built in is designed with a contact center environment in mind, but we are seeing all sorts of different applications. And one of the other products that we offer is the Landis Attendant Console. Not the main focus of the call today, but the Attendant Console is more of a customizable endpoint or a client that's used for anywhere from a contact center agent to a receptionist to a boss admin. So there's all sorts of different types of environments and use cases that are far beyond what a traditional CCaaS environment would look like.
Yeah, and I will say, guys, we've done very well with the operator console. So I know this conversation's not focused around that, but once again, either reach out to your dedicated sales director for more information on that solution, or you can contact me as well. But yeah, we've done very well with the console as well.
Yeah, that front desk, just to take a real quick plug in on that front desk, it's only 3 or 4 seats or 1 or 2 seats. It's usually pretty easy to overlook. They're usually considered later in the game. They run the show. They know the executives. They keep things in order in the office. If that front desk, if that reception operator is not happy with Microsoft Teams, you got yourself an uphill battle. And so plugging in a tool that they're like, oh, this is like a switchboard on my screen. This makes sense. This is easy. I love it. Really goes a long way for smoothing over a team's deployment and getting them on board. So that is a product that is worth taking a look when you have time. It's something you can deploy in 5 minutes. Nice value add in the channel and something that is really important. I want to be mindful of the time here. I'm going to just drop in and talk just briefly about AI and automation. This is obviously a big topic. I would argue that as you walk around different shows and if you visit a lot of contact center websites, it would seem like this is the only discussion. We don't really view it that way. We see it we don't want to just shout AI for the sake of it. We're very realistic about what we feel AI can deliver, where it currently sits. And this changes on a monthly basis, I understand, but where we currently sit, where's the value add to AI? What are the tools that any normal organization is going to feel comfortable putting into production and making available? So you kind of have these different, you have traditional telephony, we're familiar with that. You have total AI, and I think when people hear AI contact center, they picture this fully autonomous voice AI agents that are just taking care of every interaction. There are some possibilities of that within Landis, but it's not what we see realistic for most environments. Most what you're going to find is this middle ground where AI can help take care of some of the work before the work and some of the work after the work and level up the agent's ability to engage with the customer and help them do the actual interaction. So a lot of the AI features that we have built in the product are built with that in mind. A few examples. Live AI Agent Assist. This is again focused on a live human taking calls, but while they're taking that call, let's give them some assistance in real time. This can look like checklists that let them know where they're at in the conversation. As the customer asks questions, it is linking to the appropriate documentation or sharing information on the topic that the customer is requesting. It is being able to, of course, AI summaries is really an important part of this. Once the call is completed, I have a nice summary that can automatically save to CRM, or I can have available to add to an email or share with a colleague. So this is just that live dashboard that can assist the agent as they're taking calls and make their life a little bit easier. I think as an agent and salesperson, whatever your role is, when you're engaged in the conversation and you know that AI is taking notes, you can be more engaged in that conversation and less focused on, making sure you have everything documented and all that. And so having a nice AI summary given to you as soon as the call ends on every call that you make does make a huge difference for an agent. Some of the other areas that we see, I talked about AI summaries. We talked briefly about the AI assisted routing. You know, AI does a good job at understanding intent. So instead of giving our caller 8 different menu options, that's always clunky. You know, I listen through all 8 and then I forget what some of the earlier ones. I end up taking a wild stab at where I think I should go in the organization. Where with AI assisted routing, we can say, thank you for calling NUWAVE. How can I help you? In a short sentence, tell us what you're calling about today. The customer can say why they're calling, and the AI tool knows where they need to go. You need to talk to this team, or I can actually answer that question. Things like that can really be a good value add. We talked about the Copilot agents already with chat. That's a really, I would consider this a low-hanging fruit when it comes to AI integration. The other use case that I'll just mention here that we're seeing is internal organization AI tools, where you can create an AI Copilot agent that is available to your own internal team, and you can throw absolutely every resource at that agent that you have, any documentation, things that you might not be comfortable sharing publicly, make it available only to your internal team, have that be a resource chatbot for them, and then being able to see all the back-end data. These are all the questions my team is asking this AI agent. That can become very valuable.
So Paul, I do have a question for you. So, I know that everybody's, everything is AI driven, right? You go to every technology event, it's AI, it's AI.
Yeah.
I know our vertical markets that we concentrate on for voice enablement with iPilot and so forth. Are you still seeing, like, I know that you do very well in the higher ed. We've done very well with the Landis. Are you still seeing that in the higher ed? Are you seeing other vertical markets that are adopting this, the AI and automation?
Yeah, we do see it with higher ed. We're seeing more centralization.
Okay.
There are all sorts of cool demos out there. And so the sales team sees a demo and they're like, that's a cool AI tool. We're plugging that in. Service desk has an AI tool that's built into their ticketing system that they're using. The problem is these environments are so segregated. Who is monitoring all this? Where's the visibility and the management? Where you can have these different Copilot agents and AI tools that are available for different parts of the organization, but are centrally managed. It gives you one place to go to monitor all this, making sure that you can read every transcript that is taking place with each interaction, whether it was human or AI. So we are seeing much more, and this is one of those things in higher education that we're seeing a lot of. There are some early higher education AI tools that were coming out, and maybe some universities adopted, but now they're saying, wait a second, we need an overall approach here. All of our interactions with our students, it needs to come together inside a central management, central documentation, and this is where Landis really plays a big role. So yeah, higher education, we see a lot in manufacturing, just simple questions about orders and shipping, things like that. AI does really good at that type of thing as well.
So, I mean, and correct me if I'm wrong, and I heard everything that you said. So you guys are really taking more of a strategic approach concerning the AI and automation with the platform. Would that be pretty, like, if I was to deliver that to a customer, that would be my message?
Yeah, certainly. And the other thing is,
right?
Yeah, with AI tools, easy to stand up in the environment and thoroughly test before you're throwing this into production. And as Landis builds and markets AI tools, we're careful, like I mentioned earlier, we're careful with our verbiage and how we market and talk about them. This is not conceptual stuff that we're talking about. We're not saying, well, yeah, this is, when you actually plug it in, you find it can do about 10% of what it was advertised. These are tools that are fully vetted, fully tested in production, and you can do the same for your customers. So I would just say we're very cautious in making sure that it's an AI tool that adds value. Again, you don't want to just incorporate AI for the sake of it. It has to add value. It has to improve on, a non-AI feature, and so that's important. The other thing to consider is there are some high security environments that are very wary about AI. They're just very concerned. The restrictions are really tight. All of the core Landis contact center functionalities, the reporting, the analytics, the voice handling, everything that we have talked about is available without AI playing a single role. So for those environments, it's really easy to plug in the core contact center platform. We don't need to go through the AI security review. If down the road they want to open up some AI functionalities, it's there and it's easy to enable, but it's not mandatory.
Okay, that's a good point. Thank you. See, I'm just not a presenter. I'm soaking this stuff in too. This is great.
Yep. Yep. All right. We're getting close here. I know we want to leave some time. I'll just kind of breeze through the last part here. There are some quality control items built in as well. Things like being able to score calls after the fact, find tags to calls, and adding notes and a scoring metric that we can review with agents later. Customer service, of course, you're familiar with. That's important. Sentiment tracking. How are the calls going? Is there a certain agent that consistently struggles with the sentiment tracking more so than, or with their conversation sentiment more so than other agents? And then wrap up questions, allowing your agent to categorize and add notes post call before they move on to the next call. That can be important for making sure things are well documented there as well. My mind skipped over it earlier, but someone asked about scheduled reports, and I don't think I ever addressed it. Yes, there are scheduled reports built into the system, really easy to set up the type of report that you want delivered to your inbox, what interval, really easy to set up and get that report emailed to you every day. There are 3 core products, just to talk about licensing here before we wrap up. Travis, there are 3 core products that really are at the heart of this system. Contact center, obviously that's the analytics, the reports, everything that we talked about. Call recording, as we mentioned, is licensed separately. A inexpensive, simple add-on to contact center, but it is available as its own standalone tool, and you can license. It has a separate price, but is licensed individually if needed. And then the Premier Agent. This is a dashboard for the agent for call handling. It's built off the backs of our attendant console, so it's its own client. And that is where you're seeing the AI agent assist, the live prompting, live transcription, click to dials, all the efficiency items that really help level up an agent. They can just use this regular old Teams call controls if that's what they're familiar with. But if there is an environment where they could benefit from some additional tools at their disposal while they're engaged in these interactions, the Premier Agent is a great option for that.
Okay. And then I do want to address a question real quick. Brian, to your point, I can address this. Concerning the business opportunity, if you don't have a dedicated sales director here at NUWAVE, you can reach out to me directly, and I will get you taken care of and pull in the proper resources from Landis. So we are always going to be the primary, and then we'll leverage Landis for the support after that. But great question, Brian. Thank you.
One last thing that I'll mention here, and then we can do a final round of Q&A and even some live looks here if we want to. But when it comes to deployment, there are 2 different options. There is a no-cost self-start option for your customers. This is for environments that really have their own internal team that knows Teams well and is comfortable setting up resource accounts and PowerShell, things like that. The product really does deploy easily. And so what Landis will offer is a few hours of complimentary time to set up a proof of concept, get a queue stood up so that they can start testing, kind of show them the basics. And then combined with our detailed documentation, there are a lot of organizations that are comfortable saying, we can take it from here. We can add more users, add more queues, things like that as needed. However, we do have a full turnkey deployment package that is, compared to the industry, very reasonably priced, we find, and allows for a full contact center, a full Landis project manager to take them through every step of the project planning, requirement gathering, configuration, testing, end user training, the whole 9 yards, even going post go live. Oftentimes post go live, we say, actually, this setting isn't quite working. We need to tweak this queue, the call flows, coming back and making sure everything's dialed in. So we do offer turnkey packages. Once again, something that you can offer to your customer, put it on your book and offer it as a value add there, and Landis can fully manage it from our side. All right. I think that's everything that I had for the overview. Did we get to all the questions there, Travis?
We did. Yeah, that was great questions, guys. Once again, I like the interaction, Brian, and I'm going to leave people out, Eric and David. I appreciate all that. The great questions. So yeah, I think we're good on the questions. So I don't know if you want to maybe jump into a high level overview demo. I'll leave that up to you. Oh, perfect.
Yeah, I'll
you
just
ask and you
quickly go through, and I
receive.
think we touched on a lot of this in the overview there, but again, just to highlight, just go to my dashboard here. Again, this is, as you can see, this is my Teams application. I am signed in to Contact Center. It's a dedicated Teams app, or the whole thing is available via web app as well, if there are users that prefer that. Just completely embedded within Microsoft Teams. Single sign-on using a Microsoft account, so there's nothing separate that you would need to set up there or in terms of sign-on. Just to kind of take you through some of the screens here. So all of these reports and analytics, we didn't touch on everything there in the overview, but there are lots of different items. And very easy, so they're all built in, but very easy for any manager to say, these are the data columns that I care about. This one I don't really care about, so I'm going to eliminate it from the report. I would like to see this. There's all sorts of different things there that allow a manager to get it dialed into their preferences, and then they can track everything. They can see total call volumes. But anyway, there's not too much I want to show here other than just showing you how easy the navigation is, and even things like, let me just go into queues. My screen share is back there, Travis, right?
Yeah, I got you. You're taken care of.
Even going into the queue management, just so much here that you can set up in terms of, I want my, I want to let the caller know what position they are in the queue. I want to offer callbacks. We can do either automatic or manual callbacks. Being able to configure the messages and the greetings and the positioning queue announcement interval, all the exception handling. We want to leave them in the queue, but we want to give them the option to go to voicemail or receive a callback or whatever they want to do there. So you can really configure the queues, the IVRs, right down to the last detail, exactly the way you want them to appear. And just going into the call flow builder here as well, just very visual screens. Everything is very easy to manage for your admins. All sorts of integrations like we talked about, the regex, the data dips, the voice to tone blocks, AI query blocks, things like that. So very centrally managed, but still a lot of options there within the platform. Of course, Teams presence shares back and forth, so that can be another indicator for call routing. So yes, they're signed in to the queue. Yes, their contact center staff says they're available, but their Teams presence shows they're away. Well, let's not send them a call. Let's roll on to someone else. So Teams presence is embedded within the product there as well. All right. I think that covers everything. We touched on most of the main topics here with in the overview. I just kind of wanted to give you a glimpse of the actual product. That's really important. Also, very important is that you have access to your own. So if you are a partner that is interested in offering this to your customers, it can be really helpful to get set up with your own POC license that you can test and evaluate and become familiar with the product. And Landis can certainly assist with getting that set up and running. So if you have any need for that, reach out to Travis. We'd be happy to get you squared away.
I appreciate that, Paul. So as always, phenomenal job. So I know we have a couple minutes left. I do want to close out on a couple of items. Once again, look out for an email. Hopefully one of you will win this. It's the Poly. Thanks again to Denise at HP. We appreciate the support. And as I have stated, guys, obviously you have your dedicated sales directors. And if not, if you're a new business partner prospect that saw this opportunity on LinkedIn, you're more than welcome to reach out to me directly. I would appreciate that. But definitely have time arranged. Paul will be called in if we need to take a deeper dive into the solution. Do not miss out on this opportunity, guys. We're leaving money on the table. And as you can all see, this is an extremely robust and powerful solution upon a Microsoft delivery. Because if you're not selling it, somebody is. So let's jump on it, make some more money through the channel. Let's drive that revenue. And unless anybody has any other questions, I'm going to let everybody get back to their day. Paul, great job, man. I appreciate you as always. And yeah, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up for today. And thanks again, everybody that joined us, and happy selling.
Thanks for having me, Travis. Always a pleasure.
Thank you, Paul.